Hello. Welcome back. So, I'm going to do a quick one today because there's been a lot of furor online with regards to the Audemars Piguet and Swatch collaboration. And as far as I'm concerned, the people who are up in arms about how can Audemars Piguet collaborate with Swatch? Oh my God, it's going to devalue their company. Um, they know nothing. They don't understand anything. And I really mean that coming from a place of kindness. The Swatch Group is a very powerful company in the watch world. They have more than double the revenue of Audemars Piguet, more than double. I think Swatch Group revenue is something like 6.7 or 6.79 billion every year, and Audemars Piguet is 2.9 or maybe less, 2.7. You might think that doesn't matter, but as it so happens, we currently live in a time where consumption of goods and products are not done purely because of the appreciation and understanding of said product or good. The people who are buying Audemars Piguet now en masse largely are people who recently made money. And I say this again, coming from a place of love. Um, the people who are upset by this maybe have two watches from Audemars Piguet. I'm gonna be really nice and say they have three watches from Audemars Piguet, which they got within the last, I'm gonna say, 5 to 10 years. The people who have been wearing Audemars Piguet for 30 or 40 years will either be amused by this collaboration and find it funny, like, that's cool. Maybe I'll get one of those for my son who's 9 years old, or for my daughter who's 12. Or they might think, interesting. I guess they're trying to bring this beautiful maison, this beautiful watchmaking company to the masses because majority of people could not afford an Audemars Piguet watch. Now, another reason why this is upsetting people is they have, these are the people rather who have managed to find a way by which they can afford to buy one of these watches. And they have one of these watches purely because it's a symbol of their status, symbol of how much business acumen they may or may not have, or whatever it is that they've done to make the money to buy the watch. The reason why this has gone over so many people's heads is because, like I said in my first statement, majority of the people who consume luxury goods in this current time and sphere in which we live are the people who have recently started doing this. They just got here and therefore have taken the mantle upon themselves to be irate and infuriated and, oh my goodness, this is not what this brand represents. Darling, what do you know about this brand? When did you discover Audemars Piguet? I have a very funny story that I'm going to tell about this because it's something that I always use to give people an understanding of how the times that we live in, it's not the same as it was 20 or 30 years ago, which is obviously obvious. I met a lovely young lady one time and I was interested in her and I wanted to take her out somewhere. And she, after a couple of back and forths and conversations on the phone, she said to me, I don't think you and I could date because we live different lifestyles. Now, at the time, I assumed, silly me, I assumed she was referring to my fitness lifestyle because I was working out outdoors at the time when I met her, I was training, you see someone in gym clothes, the muscles, the pull-ups, the whatever it is, you might think, okay, this guy, all he cares about is gym life till he dies. That's it. And yes, my fitness is a very important part of me, but it's a sliver of my personality, a sliver. And I thought that's what she meant. So I'm like, no, you've got me mistaken. That's not who I am. It's part of who I am, but it's not the be all and end all. It's not my raison d'etre, as the French say. It's not my reason for being. It's just a part of me. Don't worry about it. If you decide to join this fitness thing, I'm going to be here to coach you through it. And if not, it's okay. Your prerogative, darling. And she turns around to me and she's like, what are you talking about? No, no, no. What I mean is every weekend, my sister and her husband, we all go to Zuma for dinner. I think she actually told me every Thursday, which is coincidental because today's Thursday. Anyway, she said every Thursday, my sister's husband takes us out to Zuma for dinner, and it's my favorite place, and that's the kind of places that I'd like to go to. Now, at the time, this was not something that was in my budget, but I took it on the chin. You know what I mean? Fair enough. Okay. You know what? I hear that. You're allowed to like what you like. And you know what? You're right. I'm not about that life. And then followed up by saying, you must really be a big Zuma fan. By the way, this lady in question was from the UK. I wouldn't say where specifically because it doesn't really matter. But the fact that she is from the UK, I feel like it's important to the crux of the story. And I said she was, and I said to her, you must be a real Zuma fan. And she said to me, yeah, 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 I love it. It's my favorite restaurant. I was like, so you must have been going all the time in London then. She was like, what are you talking about? I was like, the Zuma in London. You you must have been loads. That's why because you just told me you've only been in Dubai for a few years. So I'm assuming that the intense love for the Japanese cuisine, the maestro, must be from knowing it from London. And she was like, there's no Zuma in London. It's only in Dubai. I love that. And to which I responded, yeah, yeah. Actually, that makes sense. That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, yeah, yeah. My bad, my bad. Anyways, lovely. You know, thank you so much. Sorry for bothering you. And I kept it pushing. I remember this story and I will tell it to my grandchildren because it's a microcosm. It's an allegory of the way people consume luxury today. The people who are shouting about Audemars Piguet and Swatch Group are the same type. It's the same type of person who will go to Zuma 10 times in Dubai and not know that Zuma exists anywhere else, and all of a sudden it becomes their benchmark. I have to add, there is nothing wrong in discovering something and finding out that you like it at any point in your life and it becoming something that you aspire to or that you will only accept. There is nothing wrong with that. But when you use that as a barrier to entry for someone and you don't know the full picture, then that makes you look extremely obtuse. That's the best way for me to put this. It makes you look extremely obtuse and narrow minded and short sighted. And I actually don't feel bad about the rejection. What I was more bothered about was the fact that someone could take this stance without knowing the full picture. And it's the same thing with Audemars Piguet and Swatch Group. I'm going to read out to you some of the companies that the Swatch Group owns. So Swatch Group, like I said, 6.7 billion euros. That's their revenue. 13.9 billion total assets. They're a monster of a company. So the list of subsidiaries: Blancpain, Breguet, Certina, Flick Flack, which is very old school. If you know, you know. Glashütte, Hamilton Watch Company, Harry Winston, Jaquette Droz, which I've never heard of, Leon Hatot, I've never heard of that, Longines, which I'm sure people know, Mido, Omega SA, Rado, Renata Batteries, Swatch, and Tissot. So these are all the companies, and the Swatch Group is the largest watch company in the world and owns and employs about 31,000 people in 50 countries. So if Audemars Piguet will get an opportunity to expose their brand to a cross section of people who would normally not be able to afford it, and can create some more aspiration and add some fun for the people who've been buying Audemars Piguet since the 80s, kudos to them. It's not going to affect their money. If anything, it's going to make them even more money. They're going to get more clients, more customers, aspirational, current, dormant, whatever they may be, all across the board. Because there's one thing that things like these do, is it pushes you out there and it creates visibility. We do not live in a time where the only reason why people purchase luxury goods is because they understand the luxury goods. Those days are gone. Let's not dwell on it. Let's not cry over it. Heritage and craftsmanship, all that stuff I've talked about countless times. These things are just buzzwords at this point in time. No one really cares. And the people who do care, they're in their corner somewhere and they're getting on with life without bothering anyone about it. I am one of those people. I love that stuff. But because I grew up on it, this is how I was raised, this is the era in which I was born. But I do not force my opinions and my tastes on people who cannot and will not understand the place that I'm coming from. So I'm all up for it. Shout out to Swatch for coming through with a collaboration that's going to create cues. Shout out to Audemars Piguet for understanding. I'm wondering where these people who are upset about Audemars Piguet Swatch were when Audemars Piguet collaborated with Kevin Hart, with Travis Scott, with Kind in Music. Where were they? Travis Scott is a rapper who raps about things that you probably wouldn't want to talk about. You probably want to do. But he has a watch. His own watch with Audemars Piguet. What do you think they were doing then? You think they were just trying to make a watch for a guy that's cool? No. They're trying to dip their fingers into a demographic that previously might have been untouched. There is a lore about AP watches, and people say that the reason why AP is popular in pop culture is because of two people, one of them being Arnold Schwarzenegger, who is an actor, and another person being Jay-Z because he took care of the other side, this side. And for those who know, Audemars Piguet has been doing this for a very long time. I don't know what you're saying to me. Audemars Piguet is doing this for a very long time. So let's not cry about this. Let's just move on and enjoy the collaboration. And if it's for you, good. If it's not for you, that's also fine. And it's a lesson that we can take and that I've spoken about at length previously. This is a time to use the resources that we have in the way that will actually be beneficial based on the time we live in. The stories that we tell can no longer be the same stories that we told before. You can't speak about all these years and all the hardship and everything. I wonder how many people who own Audemars Piguet watches know the first name of both of those guys, Audemars and Piguet. I can't remember. I've seen them before, but I don't remember. I wonder how many people who have AP watches know where the watch originated from. Like I said, those times are gone. Unfortunately or fortunately, it is the reality that we live in. Use your resources that you have in the best way possible. Let's not try to attach success or growth based on concepts that the people you're trying to reach don't even understand. So, as usual, I don't make the rules. I'm just an enforcer. Peace and love.